record this. This is the second synchronous session of the HUEN 121 course for Spring A 2020. Good vision. We're going to be talking tonight about paragraph development. I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm going to show you this screen. So if you have questions, I don't have it as a PowerPoint, just as a PDF. So we got to roll through this as a PDF tonight. But as long as everybody can see it, we're going to go ahead and get going. So let's pray and start. Father, you are good. Our country, our world needs a Savior. The ones we go to the gym with, the ones we go to school with, the people who you put us in contact with, may we ask them about you. May we ask if they know you. We love you. Amen. And we do that by knowing how to present a thesis, by knowing how to talk, by knowing how to communicate properly with someone. So here we go, paragraph development. Now, a couple of announcements first. So for your papers, in this first paper, so this comparison contrast paper, I'm okay with you using online versions of respected print news sources. It's okay to ask before you actually use them. But please do stay away from the vicenews.com, I'm escaping me right now, the news source, shoot, so any like the Google News, any of those, the ones that are meant for a broader, even a younger audience, stay away from those and go to a prime known newspaper, go to the Wall Street Journal or something like that, and we'll take those. For the annotated bibliography, there is a format under the handouts, which for you is under paper documents. So paper documents is where you would see this. Spend time summarizing and evaluating. For the annotated bibliography, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be walking through sources. You're going to pick up a few sources. You're going to summarize those sources and then give me your opinion of them in a very, very scripted MLA format. So you're going to have to know what that APA format. You have to know what that format is. You have to follow along with what it asks you to do. So that's the annotated bibliography, which is coming up soon, as is the comparison contrast paper. So tonight, as we get into this, we're talking about thesis statements. So usually I would click once, click twice, but we're going to see this all at one time right now. So the thesis statement is a one-sentence summary of a paper's main point. Presents the essay's topic and a main point about the topic. Roughly, this is how you're going to be making, this is the sentence that if everybody walked away, they would know exactly what it is you're talking about from this one statement. Now, perhaps your pastor is good at this. Hopefully your pastor is good at something like this, where your pastor is able to make sure that he shows you or make sure that when his congregation walks away, they remember what he was speaking about. Even if it's a one phrase, one line, it's a challenge for the week, whatever it might be. This is what we're talking about with a thesis statement. This thesis statement wraps up the essay's topic and a main point about that topic. That main point's unique. It's your spin on it, or it's your I always say slice the pie. What makes your view different? So we have, amongst us, we have high school senior white females amongst us. We have college freshmen, blah, 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 amongst us. There are things which make up your lifestyle, basketball players, knitters, those who like writing, those who'd rather be outside. There's things that make up each one of you, and those make your vision unique, your worldview unique. And so when you go to write about something, I want to hear that little slice of the pie. If Megan was going to write about universal health care in America, she would be writing a book. It would be way too big. But if Megan wanted to write about how healthcare in her community, specifically in her church, specifically in the single mothers in her church, would be helped by a state healthcare program, well, that would be much more specific. Understand? So that's what we're looking for here. A thesis is the main point about that topic. So here are a few statements, or here's a question. If the stranger read only this one-sentence paper, would the stranger know exactly what the paper is all about? So here we go. It is to be one complete declarative sentence. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a question put in the place of a thesis statement. In fact, for some of you who are annotated, your annotations in the discussion, I saw way more than just one sentence as a thesis statement, which I didn't take off for necessarily, but just realize we're looking for one declarative statement. It should not be, in my opinion, this essay will discuss. No, it is make the statement. When you are, Lauren, when you write a paper, what's one of the very first things that goes on that paper?
Introductions.
Before that,
Openings.
before
Outlining.
that, before that, the first thing you write on a final copy of a paper would be what?
I'm assuming you're asking for a thesis.
No, I'm asking for your name. One of the very first things you write on a paper is going to be your name, right? Your name, the course, the date, things like that. So do I have any question as to who wrote that paper, Lauren?
No.
No, I know that Lauren Bergman wrote that paper. So when you say things like, in my opinion, or my essay will discuss, you're being redundant. I am stating that my essay will discuss. We don't need that. Make the statement. I'm already assuming that Lauren, that Josh, that Dave, that whoever made the statement in the paper. So we don't need to say that out loud. That's one of the reasons we stay away from first-person pronoun, because it becomes redundant in the paper. It should not include the main points of the paper, so the topic sentences. The thesis statement stands on its own. So what we often say is, if I'm going to make the argument that the Orioles are the best team in baseball, of course, right? Who do you cheer for out there? Who's the best team in baseball?
The Yankees.
Oh, man. You live in New Jersey, so I got to give it to you, because Jersey's sad enough not to have its own team. But because you're close enough geographically, it's okay. But what I don't like is someone living in Georgia and liking the Patriots. That's just weird. But anyway, past that. If I was going to make the thesis statement that the Orioles are the best team in baseball, one of my thesis statement would be the Orioles are the best team in Major League Baseball. A support to that would be the Orioles are the best team in baseball because Camden Yards is the prettiest park in baseball. Well, your thesis statement should not include the main points or the supports. Your thesis ends your introduction and is a sentence by itself. It should also be broad enough to cover the supporting points. Again, if I say the Orioles are the best team in baseball, my reasoning goes under the umbrella statement. But if I say the Orioles are the best team in baseball because of their play, or the Orioles players the best players in baseball, I can't talk about their ballpark because I'm not talking about the players. Let's keep going here. So here are some bad examples. The world of popular music negatively influences young listeners. And here are all of the reasons why. Here are all the supports. Because of overt materialistic values, portrayal of extreme behaviors, high esteem of the almighty dollar. Those are going to be the three reasons. And we just read that we're not supposed to include the supports in the thesis statement. I'll leave down here, it says, if you've already listed your topic sentence in your thesis, it then sounds like you're just repeating yourself in the rest of the body of the essay, because your introductory sentences for the next few paragraphs should be your supports. All right, so revised, it should be instead, listening to popular music negatively influences young people socially and morally due to its empty content. And I would be okay if it ended at listening to popular music negatively influences young people. That would be fine by itself. You don't need to go further than that, because the whole socially and morally, that's going to be some of your supports. Now, as you're winnowing, as you're honing, as you're bringing your statement down, in that way, it would be appropriate for you to perhaps give a little bit more specificity through, as it says, socially and morally. But those are still very general. Those are not very specific. So look at the bold there. This allows for the supporting ideas to then be articulated in topic sentences without sounding needlessly repetitive. All right, exercise time. You ready? Here we go. Before we move on to paragraph development, we're going to do exercise here. So I'm going to call on you, and those of you listening to this by video, this will be your first thing I want to see as a standout. You can highlight it, bold it, just circle it or something so I can see that you were here with us listening to the video. Go ahead and write down for me a thesis statement concerning dogs. A thesis statement concerning dogs. I'm going to call on a couple of you to share your thesis statement concerning dogs. Remember, it should be a declarative sentence. It should be just your claim, your main point, what you want people to walk away with. It should not include supports. Go ahead. You write it down, you think of it. I'm going to ask anybody if they want to share their dog thesis. In fact, I'll start with Jacob. Have you had enough time to think of a dog thesis? I saw you go from muted to unmuted, but I wasn't able to hear you say anything. So maybe try it again. All right, sounds like Jacob, we're not going to be able to hear you tonight. So I'm just going to assume that you're going to write this down and turn your notes later. All right, let's see who is. Oh, looks like I got a chat over here. Looks like might be trying to chat. So let me open up that. And that's not opening it up. That's not very helpful. Oh, Jacob says yeah. Okay, good. All right, let's see. Who's. All right, looks like I got Megan's eyes. So Megan, what's your dog thesis?
I haven't come up with one yet.
Okay. So you're looking at me, but you weren't ready. Oh, great. All right, Lauren, you're next.
For numerous reasons, dogs can be considered man's best friend.
Okay, yes, that will work. If we want to get really picky, you could drop for numerous reasons. We can be very succinct. Dogs are man's best friend. Now, let's go get another one. Caitlin, give me what you think. What is your dog thesis?
Dogs are protective of their owners.
Dogs are protective of their owners. Now, that's going to be very specific, which is fine, but coming up with supports for that one might be a little more difficult. But you could say that German Shepherds guard their owners uniquely, yet Chihuahuas guard their owner uniquely, and Collies guard their owners uniquely. So in that way, you could even write about that. That'd be fine. Let's get one more. Tim, give me your dog thesis. Are you with your brother? Are the Yankees your team as well? Okay.
I don't really watch baseball.
Okay, not so much. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. A dog is the best choice for a family pet.
For family pet, yes, that will work. All three of those are fine. Now, a thesis also must be an arguable assertion. So, David, think of one of the three you just heard, and give me what someone else who read the thesis that was just given, one of the three that was just given, if they were going to argue with it, what would their thesis be back?
Throughout history, cats have been known to be very
Be man's best friend, right?
yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So cats are man's best friend. Yes, that would be a dogmatic, puns. That would be a dogmatic statement to the opposite made arguable. Good. Okay, thesis statements. We've gone over them. Paragraph development. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to walk through a paragraph line by line by line. This might be review for you, but there'll be some tips in here. Hopefully that'll help you out. So let's go ahead and do that. Blow up this screen as big as it gets. Topic sentences. So when you begin your paper, you're going to have an introduction, and your introduction is going to finish with a thesis. And then you're going to move into the supporting bodies, paragraphs of your paper, okay? Each major body paragraph, and usually we're thinking 3 or 4, is going to begin with a topic sentence, and that topic sentence needs to fit under the umbrella, and the umbrella would be your thesis statement. So the body paragraph. In many cases, I would say just repeat your thesis statement, add the word because, and then continue. So dogs are man's best friend because they run quickly, period. And you could take them jogging or something. But that would be a thesis. That would be a topic sentence for the thesis that dogs are man's best friend. And your body paragraph will begin with a topic sentence. Each topic sentence should directly relate to and support the thesis statement. You should clearly be able to see a direct line from the topic to the thesis. Okay? So here's an example of one, or here's what the formula would look like for those of you mathematicians in the audience. This is what it would look like if you're putting together topic plus main point that supports a thesis. Again, topic, which would be somewhat like your thesis, and then your main point. I like to say something plus because, or thesis plus because equals the support, and there in that formula you have your topic sentence, but should directly relate and support the early thesis. Likely you'll borrow a word or two from your thesis. That's why I'd rather see thesis as opposed to topic here. I'm pointing at my screen right now for all as you can see. That's why I'd rather you see thesis in those brackets as opposed to topic. Thesis plus main point that supports the thesis. So here we go. Example: television advertising inundates America lives with commercials that try to empty people's pockets by making these same people disconnect with what they have or how they look. So this is a thesis. This is a huge thesis. I'm not loving it, but it is what it is. The topic sentence for that ginormous thesis would be, first, commercials permeate American thinking by taking up more than a quarter of the time American society. Thankfully, you know, we are in the Netflix age or the Disney Plus age or the Hulu age, and we don't have quite as many problems with commercials, but is what it is. These are all possible topic sentences, which would be, you know, the first, second, third paragraphs supporting this thesis. So if you want to look at these more later on, feel free to go back to the PowerPoint and see them, but we'll keep moving here. Your topic sentence should support the essay's thesis and tell what the paragraph will be about. A good way of thinking of this is quite simply, your thesis statement is going to end your introduction. The very next sentence will be the very first topic sentence. And the topic sentence should be your first supporting sentence. So I'm going to give you now a thesis. I'm going to give you a thesis now, and I want you to give me a topic sentence to that thesis. You ready? Here we go. So I'm going to say that the iPhone is the preferred. The iPhone should be the preferred cellular device. So I'll just say the iPhone is the best cell phone. Make it easy. So if you're taking notes, listening to the video, I want you to write down a topic sentence that could go and follow the thesis. So I wrote my introduction, end of the thesis, the iPhone is the best cell phone, and then I want you to give me a topic sentence that would support that thesis. Coming soon thereafter. We're going to go to Matt first on this one, and then we're going to come back and we'll give Rebecca a shot to get involved here too. So Matt, then Rebecca, you're going to give me your topic sentences when you have them.
The iPhone is the best cell phone because it has the best camera.
Hey, you nailed it. Absolutely. We got the thesis. You know, I'll scroll back up here and show you the formula he just used, which is absolutely appropriate. He used the formula, the iPhone is the best cell phone, and then the main point is supports the thesis because it has the best camera. Well done, Matt. Good job. Rebecca, Becca, Becky, Ka, Ree. Can't hear you. Can you lean over and talk on your sister's computer? Or?
I have that the iPhone is the best phone because it has the most choices in apps.
Okay, there we go. So using the, as opposed to the market, good job, Rebecca. As opposed to the market, you're able to use the, what's it called? The App Store, right? That's what it's called. Look at my phone. Yeah, the App Store. You can use the App Store. Good. Those are both solid topic sentences for the thesis. The iPhone is the best. How many iPhone users do we have in the room? I got one here. But how many of you have an iPhone? Yeah. No. Let's see. We got Lauren says yes. Caitlin, no phone. iPhone, nothing. Matt, yeah. Matt says yeah. David, yep. Tim, oh yep. See it there. Megan. No. Android or no phone? Or something?
No phone.
Gotcha, no phone. Josh? Now you had an iPad. You were working off an iPad last time, right? So yeah, You guys are just buying Apple stock hand over fist, I bet. Rebecca? There we go. And then Josh is on chat, and Jacob's on chat, and Jacob says,
Does a flip phone count?
There you go, flip phone. There you go. What kind? Is it a Motorola?
I'm not sure.
There we go. Don't worry about it then. All right, paragraph development. Moving on, concluding sentences. So we've talked about how to begin the paragraph. We're going to talk about how to end the paragraph now. So clear concluding sentences are vital to strong paragraphs. I need to see where it ends. I'm helping a lady right now finish her, edit her dissertation. And I have repeatedly told her that she needs to finish her paragraphs. She will move to a new point and then just stop writing and go to an indented next paragraph. And that's inappropriate. Your audience should know when the paragraph is over. So it shows that a concluding sentence shows the author has completed what he wants to say. It summarizes the main idea of the paragraph, maybe refer back to it. Give us the therefore, the so what. For example, or here's what it shouldn't do. It should not introduce a new topic. In so much that if you're going to link to the next paragraph, that's fine, but you should not necessarily introduce that next paragraph in a flowery way. But even then, it's better to, especially at this level, to just end the paragraph you were speaking of. Leaves the reader with a sense of incompleteness if you don't do that, but we want the reader to remember what the main point was. So now, in order for us to hear a concluding sentence, I'm just going to give you one quickly. If the thesis was iPhones are the best cell phones, and someone said that iPhones are the best cell phones because of their camera, the last sentence of my paragraph would be something along the lines of, as has been stated, I think the new phones have like 3 cameras on them. So like the trifold cameras in the iPhone X make the iPhone the best available cell phone on the market. So what we've talked about in the paragraph. We've introduced some terms that we use in the paragraph we didn't use in the topic sentence. Let's keep going. Paragraph development, the body of the paragraph. Okay, so there's a few keys we're going to point out, and we're a little bit over halfway there, but these last few are going to go quicker than the first. So paragraphs should discuss one topic and one topic only, develop that theme, and move on. If you're talking to me about why iPhones are the best cell phones in the market, and you tell me about the cameras first, do not tell me about how the case fits easily into your hand, or that there's an abundance of possible case choices. Don't do that. Talk about the camera, and then move on to the cases next. We want unity. We need unity. If we don't have unity, we don't understand what's going on. So it says, when the content is focused, clear, and well organized, the main point of the essay is easier to understand. That makes sense. Someone's probably told you that already. I'm not going to linger on it. Check each sentence one by one and ask, does it support the topic sentence? Some of you need to develop the habit today, tonight, this week, very soon. When you write for this class, maybe because it's the first time you've had this much going or this much on the line in some of your writing, you need to go through your writing sentence by sentence. Word by word even is not a bad idea. We like to say that we want to make every word count. We want to make every word worth as much as it can be by itself. If it is cheapened at all, or if that word could be replaced with a smaller word, or if that word can be replaced and not lose meaning, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and replace that word with one that's even more understandable. We want people to understand what you're saying. But you should at least ask sentence by sentence, does it support the topic sentence? Because if it does not provide evidence to or support to your overall sentence, last night when those lawyers were presenting the White House defense, so the defense of President Donald Trump, they had to make sure that what they were saying was clearly linked back to the thesis, which is the president is innocent, or the president should not, they wouldn't have said that, but the president should not be impeached. If they went off into left field and started talking baseball, again, no pun intended, but if they did that, the jury, the people listening would have been lost, much the same with your writing. We should be going very clearly in your body paragraphs back to your thesis. So read through this, and someone please tell me, after you read through it, where a problem is. Go ahead and unmute yourself and just call it out once you read through this, and I'll work with you, or we'll have you hear what it is.
They're bringing up the fact that people are protesting and writing to the prime minister to do something about it.
Okay, I'll take that and work with it. And say that you are assuming, David, the problem here is that you're finding the main point 3/4 of the way through the paragraph. If you're assuming that's the main point, then yes, that is a problem because the main point should be much higher. There might be something, if we read this and think that the thesis or the topic sentence is a whale, one of the largest animals in the world, is killed by Soviet and Japanese whale hunters every 17 minutes. If that's the topic sentence, and it relates back to some previous thesis, probably about whales, everything coming after this, you tell me. But anybody else, what do you see as a problem here? Lauren? I think I might have. Go ahead.
Noticing why point by mentioning.
Could you say that again? At least I didn't hear you.
Yes. Wondering, they're contradicting their first point in mentioning people not being able to live without whale meat. That's contradictory to what they
Very
were.
good. Very good. Exactly. You nailed it. Good job, Lauren. Yes, that's one of the problems there. It looks like either I'm experiencing some difficulty or somebody else is. So if I happen to lose you, of course, I'll get back quickly. But I can see the fan behind Tim's head quick. So I think everything's running, hopefully, pretty well right now. Okay. Yeah, Lauren nailed it here. We have an immediate contradiction. Some people are, what does it say this? Many Japanese could not live without meat. We have issues of contradiction. We have issues of some people are writing letters to the Japanese prime minister and asking other people not to buy Japanese products. That could be considered close enough, but it is pretty far away. Let's keep going here. Let's see what they have to, or what they say here. Well, we found the big ones. Lauren found the big one. Is my internet about to crash right now? All right. Can you hear me? Can you see me? If you can hear me, somebody chime in and let me know you can hear me. Okay, I heard something. Sounds like we're back up and going. I can see movement now again. Okay, we're going to keep moving then. Key number 2 is development. Good writers base their paragraphs on details. Every sentence gives another proof or explanation of proof for the topic sentence. The devil's in the details. You've heard that said before. The details are going to be what provides any kind of argument with support. Let's say that Tim and Josh, okay, you guys were in elementary school and you did not want to do or you were trying to go to a friend's house. You were trying to go to a friend's house. If you were going to go to your mom, for example, and convince her that you should go to the friend's house, what would be some things that you might say to your mom?
Please.
Good. So you would at least be kind and respectful. Well, comparing that to our writing, yes, your writing, your formatting had better be kind of respectful. But perhaps Josh would say something like, Mom, listen, I have not beat up Tim all week, or vice versa, whoever would do that. Tim says to Josh, I have not beat up Josh all week, Mom, so I have been good. He is using a key detail from the past week to make an argument to his mother. Remember this, okay? Or I guess you could do this with Rebecca and Caitlin as well. Mom, I did not take any of her clothes and put them in the garbage. All of her clothes are still in her closet, so please let me go and spend the night, or vice versa. But here, the development is based around details. And the details that you're going to use to develop these papers are going to be after the Renz method. Reasons, examples, names, numbers, and senses. And you can see the definitions there. But quickly going through them, we would say the reason would be logic. Examples would be case studies about we've seen this work before, or this hasn't worked before. Names, like when we have the NFL. We talk about the NFL a lot here, I guess, but the NFL or some other sporting, ESPN brings on anchors or color commentators who know the game, and they were quarterbacks in the past, they were centers in basketball in the past, and they talk about what's going on in the game. Well, their name gives them credibility, expert credibility. Numbers. So again, this goes back to somewhat of an example. Some of these cross over, but numbers would be percentages, study, what was published. Senses. So this would be rather basic, but it could be realistic. So if your thesis is that you are speaking of some kind of cooking show, or you're describing the best way to make baked Alaska, you're going to refer to certain smells. You're going to try to convince people to bake it your way. So in the development, here's an example that is too general. Every student can benefit from engaging in some extracurricular activity. A student needs experience in such activities. We haven't named the activity yet. No student should leave school every day when the final bell rings, having no definite interest to follow after school hours. Okay, still very general. We don't know students. We don't know what activity. Everyone can benefit from extracurricular work. Okay, still haven't named it. No one should think of a school as solely a place to study. So we know we're talking about students. We know we're talking about schools. But what we don't know is how or what example or what detail, what is the extracurricular we are speaking of. Every student can benefit from engaging in some extracurricular activity. One of the main activities available to students is sports involvement. This is a better paragraph right away, because I have sports involvement, which shows me at least an example of what an extracurricular activity is. And there's also reasons why. Provide students a chance to learn teamwork, dedication, work ethic. Fine arts comes up next. Another example. The author here has set up sports, fine arts, yearbook, debate team, all of these, and given a little bit of reasoning behind what makes each one unique as to how it makes a better student to have the extracurricular. See, so this is the better for your case. You're trying to get to a certain word count, which all of you should know what the word count is for all the papers you write. There are word counts for the papers. So that being the case, make sure that you know the word counts and you're ready. But this second paragraph gives us more word count anyway, but it's also much more specific. That's what we're looking for. So detail. There's coherence, which makes sure the paragraph flows smoothly. Don't point back to something without a transition sentence between. The order should be logical. We even gave you some understanding earlier when we were speaking about strongest, or you could have one of the two different ways of creating your essay by weakest, stronger, strongest, or stronger, weakest, strongest. Well, the same in the paragraphs. They'll use transitional expressions. This is where they say, I say comes into play, and some of the templates they provide you could be very useful here in the back of the book. But pronouns also is a tip. So these are tips. You can avoid coherence problems with transitional expressions and with the use of pronouns. So as opposed to saying Matthew Bauman, you can actually say Matt, he, Matthew, go back to he, talk about his, things like that. You can also do it by repeating key words. The Bible does this. The Bible and the New Testament often you can go through any significant passage and see key words repeated over and over and over again. You should use this sparingly, but it does help with main ideas you're trying to get across. Coming here was a risk to my career. Not coming here would have been a risk to our relationship. Aw, so cute. Parallel structures are another way to reinforce coherency by I like fishing, hunting, and swimming. It would be inappropriate to say I like fishing, to hunt, and swimming. Well, there we have a non-parallel structure because the second verb you chose would be, well, actually the second gerund that you chose would be not the same as ing and fishing and ing and swimming. I never eat before 10 a.m. He never fails to eat before 10 a.m. These, again, coherence, we're juxtaposing the two. Coherence, here is an example of coherence versus another example, and this is the poor one. In high school, I thought I had everything figured out. I never considered what I would do after graduation. I never made any plans. I was completely lost. I went to sea. I decided. I'm enrolled. I can't even finish it because there's so much repetition of the word I, it gets very boring. So in this case, the repetition of keywords is used way too much. And in this case, pronouns were used exclusively, and that's a problem. So let's see what a better paragraph would be. A few days ago, Brian, Carol, Katie, and I went out to dinner. As soon as we walked in the door, we could smell the garlic. We moved from the group to we, the Italian restaurant, to the smell of garlic in the restaurant as a result of our sudden increase in hunger. So I have Brian, Carol, Katie, we, and then our. So I know that I'm speaking of the group, but I've changed how I've referred to the group 3 different times. Because the food was so good, we immediately set a date to return. This is a much better paragraph. I believe this is the last key, which is organization. Plan out your paragraph. You will accomplish this in part by outlining. I only ask for an outline that has your thesis and your 3 main points and your conclusion, but you could very easily write in you could make a skeleton of your work by presenting an outline that has your thesis, your topic sentences, as well as your concluding sentences, and maybe even in the paragraph some of your main points. That would be fine. And I don't mind receiving an outline like that and reviewing it with you. But know, in the organization of this, your paragraphs could even be set up very specifically. So here's an example of a thesis statement with a supporting paragraph that's pretty decent. Parallels between the Old Testament account of Hannah's petition for a child and Luke's narrative of Gabriel's annunciation of Mary exalt the God of Israel and direct attention to the coming son. So it's saying the parallels between these 2 stories exalt God and give him direct attention. Okay, that's a very specific thesis statement. I wish it was shorter, but at the same time, it's not a problem. And this giant paragraph here does a wonderful job of explaining exactly that. Now, here I would say is not something I'd love to see when you write, but if you're going to follow up the first with a second or a moving on or another transitional phrase in the next paragraph, that would be okay. First, the settings of both narratives emphasize the presence of the Lord and foreshadow the Messiah. And so in this case, we know that from the topic sentence, we'll be discussing both stories, it says both narratives, and emphasize the presence of the Lord and foreshadow the Messiah, which ties directly back into parallels between, let's say, exalt God, direct attention to the Son. Here we have presence of the Lord, which is directing us to the Son, and we have foreshadowing the Messiah, directing us to the Son. So if you read through this paragraph, it actually does exactly that. Fitting us into the concluding sentence, just as the birth of Hannah's son marks a new era of revelation from God, the birth of Mary's son makes God's presence tangible. Notice that last concluding sentence restates this thesis by including some of the topic sentence. That's what good paragraphs should look like and do. Okay, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording of this.